Hello, dear students. This is Professor Varun once again, and today is a very special podcast. With me is my old student, very intelligent student, and one of my favorite students. And he cleared the IBDP program in May 2024. That is not in 25, but in 24. So he is from the old syllabus student, and clearly the old syllabus was a bit more difficult, I would say, from the present syllabus, isn't it? And on it, this student sitting in front of you has scored full and complete 45 on 45. So needless to say that in IB physics, he got 7 on 7. In IES, he got 7 on 7. Everything is like understood. Of course, need not to mention that. And because of his incredible performance in IB examinations, getting 45 on 45, he got calls from so many big world universities, and to include a couple of them is the University in Berkeley, University, the Johns Hopkins University, and then UCLA, London School of Economics, and including UCL also. But he chose to join the University of Chicago in the United States. So presently, this student sitting in front of you is pursuing economics and the cognitive sciences with the University of Chicago. Okay, dear students, so welcome Vedant on this podcast. Vedant, this is you now.
Thank you, Prof. Very kind, very kind. So yeah, should I start with my story of IB?
Yes, sure. What is in the story? I mean to say, like, what happened with you, how you prepared for IB examination, that you end up with 45 out of 45. That's an incredible score, I would say. And you need to talk about a couple of your struggles that you were facing in those times and how you got rid of those. All the best.
Okay, awesome. So let me preface by saying, like everyone, I'm going to be completely honest, right? I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm going to be brutally honest with this podcast. So my
That's
story.
expected.
Good. I'm glad. But my higher levels, I did physics, maths AA, and psychology. Standard levels, I did Latin, economics, and English literature. And to be honest, I found IB tricky. Specifically, I found IB physics higher level very, very tricky. In the sense, I would walk into class and I would be given these like papers, like we get homeworks for different topics, and I would go home, I'd be trying these papers, and I would just have zero idea how to do it. So what I like, as everyone does, I went to ChatGPT first and I tried typing it in. But ChatGPT wasn't that helpful, to be very honest with you. Like I tried, but it didn't give me diagrams. It didn't give like beautiful explanations. It was sort of very robotic. I just didn't get it, right? It didn't explain the fundamentals. So then I typed it into Google. And like that's when I found Professor Varun's channel, right? And frankly, it's like the one reason why I got 7 out of 7. That's how I found the channel. I used to watch your videos. I used to love them. I went back to class, and in a week, everyone in class was talking about Professor Varun. Even my teacher was like, "Who is this Professor Varun? Why is everyone suddenly doing so well?" Right? So like that's probably the reason why I got started. Like that's the reason I didn't drop physics higher level. But
Oh, you
I am a
had this
bit.
thought of dropping physics, by the way?
I did. I was considering doing standard level. I was finding it really, really tough. So I'm also a bit competitive, right? So I saw everyone talking about Professor Varun, and I was like, you know what? Let me reach out to Professor Varun, and let's see if he does one-on-ones, right? So I reached out to Professor Varun, and we organized our first call. I remember I was in India at the time. I'm from London, but I was in India at the time, and I was sitting on my grandfather's desk, and I had this call with Professor Varun. I remember getting off and telling my mum, Professor Varun is the most passionate, like genuinely passionate teacher I've ever had in my life, right? I was in awe, right? It was yeah, like genuinely. And I used to like spend holidays, like when I had spare time, just like going through all your playlists and just like watching all of the videos and like just really practicing. They were just, yeah. So obviously then I joined your community. I think I was your first, and like you had all these paper two playlists, which now are in like, I think they're all public now, but I joined your community and
Yeah, they're probably.
incredible. And then obviously after time we like spoke, we used to write these detailed notes together, like incredible notes that I wouldn't use the textbook. I would just use your notes. And yeah,
Oh, really?
that's my story of IB. Obviously everything else, like it went smoothly. You also helped me a bit in maths AA, but just a bit, like mainly physics, of course, but everything else was smooth. It was just physics. But yeah.
You were connected in my private classes. Like, when did you join? Probably, do you remember that something like you
I
joined in
think
DP1 or DP
I think I joined in year one itself, like very early
in
on. Like I
DP1
think around
itself? Yeah,
December.
yeah. You were connected for 2 years with me
Yeah, I
in the
was.
private one-on-one classes. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I can see that. Yeah. Okay, so thank you for the kind appreciation of the work that I have done. So you brought that topic there, like what is the change in the YouTube channel from your time to this time. Yes, you are correct. At that time I was not having those many paper to walkthroughs on the YouTube channel, and after that they were in the paid categories also. But this year I have even given all the paper to walkthroughs free of cost to every student. So that's a one big change that I believe you should be appreciating if you have practiced so much with paper one walkthroughs.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like I was going through your profile, like your page, and I was like, that's very generous, like very, very generous. So guys, genuinely go check it out. Like they were godsend, like lifesaver.
Yeah. And Vedant, this year there's one more thing, which is lectures that I have uploaded, even they were not uploaded at your time. So the lectures are uploaded now because there was some problem with the time zones and students were not able to connect with me. Honestly telling, I have now taught as far as Costa Rica, Argentina, and Brazil from in the West, and as far as Japan and New Zealand in the East. And if you
Very
talk
cool.
about the North and the South, I have gone to Lesotho this year, South
Mm.
Africa, literally.
Wow.
And from the top, of course, you are it's sitting in the London and Sweden and
Yeah.
Norway. So everywhere there was this kind of a problem. So I chose to upload the lectures also. So those lectures are also available on the YouTube channel now.
Amazing. Very, very cool. I'm sure it's very helpful. Like I'd imagine I would love to have had those, but yeah.
Okay, so what is that you are going to do in your university? Let's talk a bit about it. University of Chicago, the economics and
Prof,
cognitive
one
science.
thing, just
What is that?
before I talk about university, I wanted to actually ask you a question, right? You've already
Oh my
answered one
God.
of my questions, but I want to ask you a question, right? I've seen all your
Okay.
videos, obviously, like I've probably watched all of them, like until I finished IB, and I noticed that at the beginning of every video, you jump straight into it, right? And I love that. But the thing you told me like one to one, which is when I realized how passionate you truly are for the subject. Like I was curious if you wanted to share that with everyone, right? Because I understand it, your students understand it, but I don't think everyone gets it. Like why you, right? Why should we listen to you? Like I'm just yeah,
Okay, now that's the counter interview that you are taking with me now, huh?
I
Why
am.
you should be listening to me. Okay. So I never told this thing earlier on any of the podcast or even on any website, nothing, nowhere I have given the kind of the curriculum or like what I am and who I am. So let me discuss that. So first of all, I was very good with physics in India and I prepared for JEEs and IITs only. And I cracked that, but my rank was not that very high at that time in my 12th grade. So I could not join the IITs, but I joined the National Institute of Technologies in India, which are like, I would say, the second grade best institutes in the country. So I completed my mechanical engineering there, and you would be surprised to know that this mechanical engineering in India that I completed was rated triple A in Asia. So I know that our universities don't rank that very high in the world level. Why? Because the method of teaching and the way the style is different in India from
Yeah.
other universities. So that is why we do not go for those kind of rankings. But our engineering is very, very inculcating for us, you can say, and they teach us in very details. So I'm a mechanical engineer, first of all. So mechanical engineering means that I have honed up my skills for physics.
Yeah.
Okay, number one. So there is no topic that is beyond me. Like I can teach you optics also, but by the way, that was not in your syllabus.
I
It
remember
was only
because
the option.
I did mechanic my option was mechanical engineering, and I remember you taught me, and like you taught me ahead really well, and my teacher, like I would honestly I wouldn't really focus in class because you taught me, but like we would do the test and my teacher would be like, Vayan, how do you know this? We haven't taught this yet. I was like, I have a secret weapon. I have a secret weapon.
Oh, you have a secret web.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. And I did that, and after that I went for the post graduation. Now here it at the place where it becomes even more interesting, I tell you. In my post graduation my rank was all India rank 900 complete, like all of the
Yeah.
students those who were examining. This is very weird, very different thing in India. We always have examinations of like at national level that
Yeah.
probably you those kind of things are, I don't know if they're happening in other countries or not, but in India it becomes very competitive. And you know, my post graduation was in thermodynamics. Okay. And so thermodynamics was earlier it was a specialized subject for you people that was in optionals. But
Yeah.
for this new syllabus, thermodynamics have been added into their regular syllabus. Do you know it?
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes. Yes, and a surprise element here also. There is a subject named as statistical thermodynamics. Later, I went for the job and I was teaching in a university. I was teaching postgraduate students. Okay. And I taught them statistical thermodynamics in the university. And fortunately or unfortunately, being very surprising, IB chose to bring that subject into DP2
Yeah.
program. I would say DP1 program instead, because it is just the part in the theme B. That is topic B4 is thermodynamics. And they are literally learning about statistical thermodynamics. And
That's
that's
interesting.
a shocking thing also, a surprising thing also, I can say. But like this thing is happening. And so you were asking like why you should be listening to me, because my credentials are all related with physics.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, clearly, and even more now, like even more once IB's made these changes. I didn't realize. That's awesome.
Yeah. So coming to the paper one style now, so you might be knowing that now the paper one, the paper which was supposed to be paper one for you is now known as paper 1A. So first of all, what were the challenges for paper one that you faced and how did you overcome it? Like, do you have some specific suggestions to make to the students? Like, this is how you do it. This is how you can practice. This is how the thing is going to help you immensely. Like, what could be that
Okay.
advice?
So I'm not gonna be specific to paper one or paper two. Like I'm gonna merge both of these together and just give some general advice. Is that
Okay,
okay?
no problem. Okay.
Because I'm a bit, it's been a year, so like I'm a bit here and there. So general advice, number one is everyone says this, your parents say this, like not yours, like the viewers' parents say this. They say do papers, practice, 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 right? And I literally and don't okay, there's a very small distinction between working hard like a donkey and working hard like a horse, right? My point is work
Hmm.
hard like a horse, not a donkey, in the sense that like when you have these papers, don't just like do paper, okay, I got this wrong, this right, move on, move on. Like I literally had a folder, right, with all the past papers and all the like papers I've done. I would do them, mark them separately. I would circle, like put my percentage on top, go question by question. Literally, there's a pattern. Everything has a pattern. Like I would look through the mark scheme, see the patterns. I'd note them down. I'd make like a big doc. I'd put them together. Every time I finished 5 papers of paper one or paper two, I would bring them back and like I would review all of them, learn the patterns again, then do the next batch of 5, or sometimes in batches of 3. So like highly recommend do papers. Then obviously practice, practice, practice in the sense you can do the papers. Also, as I mentioned earlier, I remember I was on holiday once. We like left school for some reason, like in between, and I was somewhere and I literally sat down. I had some time. I was like, I have a test soon. Let me just do some like Professor Varun papers, like questions. Because like, you have like these folders, right? Like I remember force was what I was doing then,
Yeah.
like motion, work, whatever. And I found that really tricky. But your like thing was really, really good. Like I went through every video. Like I would like them. Like I liked the ones I found tricky and I'd revisit them, rewatch them. My point is, if you don't want to like if you will learn and you will get a massive benefit, like it will be easy. So those are my general tips. I have more like general tips for the IB. It's like specific to paper one and paper two. Do these things, okay? It will help you loads.
That is why, like I tell students to concentrate on the previous year questions more than the other websites. Like there are other websites giving you different kind of question papers, like the looking like to IB. And so those questions, they might call them look alike with IBs, but they
Yeah.
are not alike,
And
isn't
also
it?
let me just be clear like to the audience, like don't just go through it and like memorize the answers. That's ridiculous, right? Because the final exam, you will not know any of the questions, right? So obviously learn how it's done. It will help you
Yeah.
by learning. Don't, if you go through it just memorizing the answers, then you're done for. Like the final exam, you'll have zero chance. But if you actually learn it, then because you're actually learning it, not only will you know how to do it, but you will remember the answers. So just be
Yeah, of
very
course,
careful.
because
Yeah.
one thing is pretty clear. I would like to make it very clear to everybody who is listening. IB examiners, they are very creative. And
Mm.
don't ever expect that they will not be doing something over and above. Like I usually say that even in the last podcast we discussed that on my YouTube channel, I don't give you 100% of the syllabus. I try to give you 110% of the syllabus. Why?
Yeah.
Because there is always a scope for IB to create one such question that has never been asked in IB examinations ever.
Mm.
So that is the limit of this YouTube channel also, because like if you are following only the previous year questions, you won't be going for the upper edge. So that edge I try to give to the students when you are following my lectures or when you are connected with me one on one. So it's my humble attempt to provide you 110% of information. So that has to be taken seriously. And the same thing that Vedanta is just pointing it out, that don't try to remember the answers that usually students do. Like they just do the previous year questions and they try to remember the answers. People, we can't do that because number one, there are so many questions, so many previous year questions, we can't do it. There was like one student from Sweden was connected with me. His teacher used to take the questions from the previous year question papers only, but he used to go way back to 1990s and like 2001 or 2002. Some of the questions which are still in the syllabus, and he used to ask those questions. Of course,
Yeah.
you can't remember those many answers. So remembering answer is not the trick, but doing the previous year questions is the trick.
100%. Also, just Professor, based on what you said on that 110%, I love that, by the way. But I remember one day we had a call, and I think it was once again in forced motion work, whatever. And you taught me something. I was like, why are you teaching me this? So I think it was centrifugal or something. I was like, why are you teaching me this?
Yeah.
Like, this is not in the syllabus. And it came up in my test. I was like, what? So like, yeah, super glad. Because all my friends were like, yeah, we don't need to know this. Like, no need. And at the end, I was the only one who was like, yeah, I remember. Like, I did it. So it was good.
Oh wow, that's great. Because
Yeah.
centrifugal forces, they are not included in your syllabus. Even in the new syllabus, they're not included. Probably I am the only one teacher who is teaching you centrifugal force in IB
Yeah.
physics.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So good advice for paper one and paper two now that you have given that, okay, practice is something that is really going to help people. Now we are going for another very controversial topic, which is a kind of like IAs, TOKs, and EAs. So my reservation about this is that we everybody know that yeah, if you would be doing something, you would be learning. And you could be using that thing in coming life somewhere or the other. Those experiences are going to pay. But
Yeah.
do you think, honestly, that spending so much of the time on this, like for example, one IA, I believe students are spending more than 50 hours on one IA. And on it, you talk about EEs, extended essays, like so long extended essays. They sometimes students, like they pick so difficult topics, like doing extended essays on mathematics, extended essays on these kind of things. Like that is really very difficult. But students take on that, and of course they're spending so much of the time on that. Then again, TOK. My first question to you is, how can you advise students, like what would be your advice for how to tackle this problem? Number two, do you think there is any practical significance of these things other than getting 45 and 45 in your exam? Of course, do they play any important role in your future life in university, because you have already spent 2 years in the university now?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So, okay, I know there are two parts. I'm going to merge them into one, okay? So, first things first, my brutal honest take, IAs, EEs, TOK, helpful in the overall sense, but the actual content you're writing about, like, no, they're not helpful. Like, in this, it depends on what you choose, right? So if, for example, in physics I wrote about radioactivity, I don't think I've heard the word radioactivity since I submitted my IA, right? The only time, yeah, actually I haven't heard that word. But the way I approached TOKEEs and IAs was as a tool, right? It's a tool in the sense you use it for your university admissions. Like, you can choose, you have full creativity. I like for my EE, I wrote about psychology, right? I do a high level in psychology. And I really care about things like mental health, things like gender differences in mental health, and like, because yeah, like around those topics, right? And aggression and those kind of things. So I wrote an EE around all of those topics. And not only was I genuinely interested in it, so those hours of like me working on it weren't like just like rote work where I'm just like just drilling through the work, just really depressed. I was really happy. I was really enjoying learning, right? So I highly recommend, if you're choosing something, do something that aligns with your passion, like past IB. Like, you need to look beyond IB. How does it help post uni? No one asks about your EEs, TOKs, IAs, but what I can assure you is that they give you like an extremely good work ethic. In the sense, like, I'll give you an example. University of Chicago is thought to be like very tricky, but all the IB people I know who are now at University of Chicago or Berkeley or like other unis like that, they're finding it fine because we've been through this sort of crucible of IB where we've had to do these IAs, do like all this hard work. Like, it really prepares you. So when you're doing your IAs, EE, and talk, don't think of it like, wow, I really love radioactivity, right? Unless you're going into physics. But like, don't worry too much about that. Choose your topics to things that interest you, things that you'll actually use, that will help your applications to uni. And when you're doing it, think about it like, every second I put into this will make my life easier in the future, right? Do the hard work now, make your future life like easier. So yeah, that's my
Wow,
general advice.
that's a very good take on TOKs and EE, I would say, and it is one of a very good thing. Like you rightly pointed it out. Like if you are not taking physics into the future, why are you doing your IA or EE on the radioactivity something?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
makes sense. Like everybody knows it. That which subject are you interested in? Like my present students in my classes, I ask them, what would you be opting for in the university? So they usually say By the way, that's a surprise. Every of my good student in physics wants to go for economics. I don't know
Yeah.
why. So they are usually going for economics, and somebody will say, that, sir, I will be going for mathematics. I would be going for this. So my advice to students is that you people already know which line do you want to go. If you're
Yeah.
going for mathematics, it always makes sense that if you're doing your EE in mathematics related subject or choosing those kind of topics, by the way, that might be helpful in the future. But
Yeah.
otherwise, I do have a feeling, I do have a reservation here, Vedant, that spending too much time on this does not justify it. Do you think that?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I didn't spend too much time on it. Like all my friends were. I was like, why are you guys spending so much time? You said that I got 7 out of 7s in my IAs. I did not get 7 out of 7s in my IAs. I got 6 out of 7s in most of my IAs.
Oh,
But because I got 7s on 7s in like all my papers, like every single paper, it automatically lifted it up. So my point is, don't think of IAs as my backup. Let me spend as much like so much time in it because you think you have so
yeah.
much control on them. You do not have control on them. Like I thought, like I have so much control on my IAs. All my friends thought that, like, let me get the 7 out of 7, let me get it, and then I have a higher chance to get an overall 7. That's not true because the way the IB marks it, I'm not sure if you know, but the way IB marks it is they take, let's say they take one class, they split it into 3 sections: the highest IAs, lowest, medium IAs, and lowest IAs, and they take all the highest IAs and they see, like, they go through some of them and they say, no, we think you've marked this too high, and they can, if they find one person who they think you've marked too high, they remove everyone in that like bracket down a few marks. So when my teachers told me what they marked, like gave me, they shouldn't have, I think. Actually, no, they didn't, but they gave me a rough estimate. But then when I saw my actual results, some of them were significantly lower than what my teacher told me, and some were higher. So like, don't rely on IAs, rely on your own hard work and actually revising for the papers. That's what matters. So yeah, don't
Yeah,
spend too much time.
that is one point that I tell my students, that you don't control the scores in IA and the EE and TOKs, by the way, but you should be concentrating on your examination more. Like, you should know more physics, you should be knowing more mathematics. So that makes more sense. But students take a lot of time for their IAs and
Yeah.
others. That, yeah, I
Yeah.
do have a
Like,
reservation.
still obviously aim for a 6 because I think the boundary for a 6 is quite low compared to a 7. But like, aim for a 6, and after that you're fine. Like, just move on.
Okay. And what is your thought on extended essay? Well, like, students are choosing very difficult topics for essays. Do you recommend that?
Same thing as I said. Like, I chose a topic I really cared about. I chose psychology, which is pretty easy for EE. Like, I chose it on purpose. I chose psychology because it's quite broad. I could almost like talk about anything. Like, if I was interested in, if I'm interested in like econ, I could talk about like behavioral psychology, right? Like behavioral economics, sorry. Or like if I'm interested in maths, like I can link psychology to maths, like the psychology of probabilities of decision making.
Hmm.
So my point is, like, choose a subject that's easy in the sense where you're not having to do like long formulas. Like, don't make it another IA, right? So that's just, yeah, it's important for your like university applications and like your knowledge if it's you choose something you're interested in, but don't do something you're not interested in, and do something which is like it's chill. Yeah.
Okay, very good. So what next? I think we have talked about the paper one, paper two, and like majorly about everything. I think IA, EEs, and that is also completed. Anything else that you would like to add, Vedant? Because like how, okay, one more question to you. I saw your LinkedIn profile and you are very active in extracurriculars since your childhood, I believe. And you have so many credentials to be accredited for. So how did you balance those things with your education, if I may ask? Yeah, I think like you published your book on Kung Fu
Yes.
in 2022, and you appeared in
Yes.
your exam in 2024. So I
Yeah.
believe you were already very active in your extracurricular.
No, you're right. You're right. I'm glad you asked because like one of the general advice I had was related to this. It's start early, right? The number one thing my family has always taught me: never leave things till the end, right? Always start early. I used to have this plan, and because I started early, I had time, right? So I had, and I'll
Very
tell you
good.
something. I haven't told anyone before, Professor, at the end of this, but I had like a very long time. Actually, I might have told you, but I had a very long timetable, right? Like as you said, I started in year one, right? I started in year one with you. I had like this schedule where I planned it month by month. Like it was like a 12, 14 month schedule. And then within that, I'd break it down week by week.
My God.
And I'd literally plan, like, I'm gonna get all of this done, all of it done before here, right? So I would plan it step by step, so I know, like, if I'm doing this now, then like I'll have time later, and I have so much time for, like, I went on a road show in India teaching kung fu, like, I trained kung fu, all of these things, right? So you have to, like, yeah, just spread it out, start early. It's super easy. Also, because I spread it out, Professor, I'm not sure if I told you this, but I remember 2 days before my IB exam, I ran out of like topics to revise, right? Like, I was ready. I think we had one meeting 2 days before, so I had 2 days, and my family was having a wedding in Turkey, and we left like 2 days before the IB exam. I was in Turkey
Oh my
celebrating someone's
God.
wedding, right? And I come back just before the wedding and I do my exam, like touch wood, it went well. Yeah, so start early. That's my tip, right? Start early, you'll have time for everything else.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, pretty good advices in this podcast, by the way. And this last advice that you have given is again like very worthy of pondering over. I tell you, like I was preparing for my exam here in India for like how government of India works and all. I was studying that. So like every government is having two types of plans. Like you brought
Yeah.
that thing, that is why I'm telling you. Like
Yeah.
one is called like 5 year plans. Okay, like how the government is going to perform in the next 5 years. They plan for 5 years and then they create a shorter version of it, 1 year annual plans.
Exactly.
And after the annual plan, they go for the monthly plans.
Hmm.
And they keep on moving like that. And they try to move date by date rather than, postponing each and everything. And
Exactly.
the benefit of that is first, number one, you can see the complete picture. You can see holistic point of view. Like I need to do economics also. I need to do physics also. I need to do chemistry also. So you can have a bird's eye view of your IA curriculum and everything that you want to achieve. And number
Yeah.
two, which is a very big benefit, is you are always inspired of performing because you have a plan. The plan that can make you successful. So this kind of a planning always inspire you to work. Well,
Exactly.
so thanks Vedant for making this podcast very, very, I would say,
Prof,
highly informative.
can I say one more thing? There's just one more thing I want to share with the world. Guys, I'm not saying this for the sake of saying it, but genuinely, like I genuinely mean this. Professor Varun is the singular reason I got a 7 out of 7 in IB physics high level. Like it's known to be very tricky, at least earlier. So please ask yourself, how much do I value my time? How much do I value myself and my future? And Professor Varun will, guaranteed, I'm putting my word on this. Professor Varun will get you that like extremely high mark, right? That he'll get you that 7 if you work hard, right? You need to work hard and smart with him. He's not going to give you the answers, but work smart, work hard, and work with Professor Varun. I'm telling you, you'll get a good mark. And Professor Varun and I, like, we didn't stop talking after, like, we didn't just stop after, like, IB finished, right? We've been in touch since. He's a mentor to me now, right? Like, Professor Varun is so knowledgeable, not just in physics, not just in maths, not just in engineering, but, like, in topics I care about, like meditation and topics like spirituality. He's just such an amazing person. So please invest in yourself and, like, reach out to Professor Varun. Like, I really recommend it. I'm not just saying it, I really
Oh my
recommend it.
God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Thank you, Vedant, for appreciating so much, so much.
No,
I
truly.
never expected that to be doing this thing in the podcast, by the way. Thank you very much. Indeed, you are one of my favorite students, Vedant. And yeah, the way you work, the planning that you have done, that was really immensely praisable, I would say. Okay,
Thank you,
then,
Prof.
Vedant, thanks for joining. And people, those who are listening, if you want to go in connection with Vedant, you want to ask something to him, he is always available for the help on his LinkedIn profile. The link for the LinkedIn profile will be given in the description box, so you people can just connect with him and ask your doubts personally to him. Okay, dear students, thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Vedant, for this very
Thank you,
beautiful
Prof.
podcast. All the
Thanks.
best. Bye.